Okay, let's go to chapter 9. Okay, my daddy came my way. I did not go his. He stayed in that house. I know stewing, thinking how to wring my neck. He came to the school one day during nap time. We always put our heads on our desk to rest for a while. I cannot sleep in that position, so I fake it. There is nothing to do but fill up your pencil tray with spit. The day my daddy came to school, nobody got a good nap. My room then was on the front of the school that looks like a red shoebox. I heard a car sound outside and knew without thinking long that it had to be him. My whole self knew at the same time my eyes had spots. I dreaded to look at him. If I had seen this on television, he might have looked funny, but since it was me in real life, I could not see the humor. The teacher had to be on coffee break, so I took over. Everybody sit back and stay quiet, I said loud. They all wanted to see what was outside. He did not know exactly what room I was in, so he made a general announcement for the whole building. Get the hell out of here, is what he told me to do. He had parked his truck in the flower bed and the special handicapped children had planted. Later that day, when they saw the mashed ground and the obvious dead marigolds, they each threw little separate fits, the kind you would throw if somebody said the end of the world was coming up shortly. He stepped out of the truck waving some cash money and telling Ellen, damn it, to come back. He would pay for it. Then my teacher came back in the room and looked at me like I invited him. She told the children to finish their naps, but who could sleep with a man Ellen's daddy is outside? You have to wonder what they will remember when they are big. A man coming to school, a man waving dollars and screaming. One man, my daddy, waving dollars, yelling and undoing his breeches during nap time. I told the teacher I could make him stop. Just give me a pistol and then go out and scoop him up. It does not even make me squint to see that in my head anymore. I yelled for him to put his dollars on the ground and go back home. There was no sense in him leaving with the money. When he heard me, he stopped still like a bird dog when you blow the silent whistle. He wondered where my sound was coming from. The police came in a while and slapped the bracelets on. We all watched him go away. Somebody sent for Julia, and she came to me finally. Her art room is in the back part of the rest of the school, so she had not seen the time, but she pulled my head to her stomach and said, "Let's go home." When we got home, I stopped feeling daisy and wondered if he had left the money. She looked. She took the dollars out of her purse, and then I had them. Hot damn, I thought. It was back normal for a while until Julia and Roy came in my room for a chat. He did most of the talking. She mainly patted the bed beside her and held her fingertips up to her nose holes. He told me the court believes you should be with your family now. I do not believe it. It sounds crazy to me because the three of us could pass for family on the street. But it was true, and the next week I went in front of a judge. Julia bought me a dress for court we both hated. She said it's not exactly our style, but there are some times when you have to play the game she learned the hard way. It had a sailor neck collar, and she said, here is the worst part: lace stockings and black patent leather shoes. Conformity, she said. When we went to court, I thought staying in the middle of Roy and Julia was the best. My daddy was over there in the middle of two police, but you still have to be careful. And lo and behold, my mama's mama. I had not seen her since the graveyard there, and there she is again to watch this time. They talk mainly above my head. Usually I can jump in and hang on to what you're saying, but I felt so daisy in the head. Again, that not a word made sense. Then the judge in the box, who was extra old to have a job, talked right to me. He said he had grandchildren of his own and could certainly understand her point. Whose point? I needed to know. Then I caught on it was she, my mama's mama. She was it. I knew that she looked down the row at me with the kind of eyes that say, ha ha, I got you now. All the arrangements are made. They said, so why bring me here and do this in front of everybody? Like Julia, who wants to scream, she says. What do you do when the judge talks about the family's societal cornerstone. But you know, yours was never a Roman pillar, but it is always had a crumpy old brick. I was my seat frustrated, like when my teacher makes a mistake on the chalkboard, and it will not do any good to tell her because so quick as she can erase it all and on to the next problem. He had us all mixed up with different groups of folks. On Sunday, the food at my new mama's is as good as it can be. The only thing you have to go to church before you can have one bite. Usually, a child will make a fuss about going to church, but we do not. You might expect us to tug on our hats and kick in our pews, but we know better. We behave like we are somebody because my new mama gets part of the collection money every week. That goes for our support, our clothes, and our food. You go into church and act genuine. Even if you think what he has to say in that week is horse manure, or even if you believe it is a lie, you sit there and you be still. Worse could happen than you sit there for an hour. You could be where you come from. I mostly read the stained glass windows and wondered all about who they're in memory of. We have windows like the Pope has, but his are art. I know all about that. The preacher says that today, yes, even on this very day, his world will free us from torments and distractions of the mind. Is it hard to be a hypocrite? I looked at the preacher and at my new mama and fixed my face to look like hers. We all sit lined up, faces like hers, she says, to be appropriate. Is it hard to when you want to smile at the collection plate up on the altar spilling over with folded money? Every Sunday she gets her fair share. Reach down and give. I want to announce to the sinners. All of us but the baby boy Roger is expected to be here on Sunday. Some teenagers, women tend to him in the nursery. He is much like Starletta, except he is white and a baby boy. We always get in here to our places before the organ prelude. That way, folks can see us and the rest sure that their money is well spent. Dora and her mama attend this church on special holidays like the Lord's Supper and Thanksgiving. They both glide all down the row and wish they had mink stoles to flag in our faces. They say too dressed. When I had to live with them for a while, we would come to this church even before I learned the name of my new mama. Of all the ladies in the church that could make my new mama, she was all the people was the one for me. Even when I got back to Dora's house, I thought about her and all that she looked like to me. I watched her in the churchyard when she would walk straight and square down the steps like she might be a queen or a lady going to be executed with dignity. Down the steps she would go by the gossiping ladies quiet. I always tried to catch her eye. Lord, eyes that would flush all the ugly out of your system and leave you two in much despair. She certainly had an oddity. I had to step back when I saw her and was not looking for anything into peculiar, but knew her time was what all that I needed to grab. I would think when I went into the house and write down ways to trick of how to have her. Now it is done. It worked, and I pat on the back each Sunday. I walk across the steps as I can be up next to her. When or if you come to my house now after church, you will smell all the things that have been simmering on low. It has been waiting for me for it. If I am hungry, my dress comes off of me in a heartbeat. Sometimes I hurry too fast and forget to unzip my back. It is helpless to smell lunch through the dress that is hung on your face. I have busted a zipper and ripped two neck collars trying to strip, and my new mama told me something about patience. I stay starved though. Everything we do almost on Sunday has to do with food. When we finish the meal on hand, it's time to prepare chicken salad, ham salad, bread, three bean soup, what have you for the week's lunch boxes. That way, my new mama says she has a head start and will not go crazy in the morning when there's already breakfast to get in and coats to get you on. I know that 10 years from now, I'll be a member of the food industry, or I might read or do art. I have seen many pictures drawn or painted of food that appeal to me. Everybody likes me. Stella, Francis, my new mama, JoJo, but not the baby are involved in the Sunday cooking. Only Stella and me came with useful experience, so we get to work with the stove. My new mama says I fry a mean egg. Today it is bread and soup, and it does not sound like much, but it is hearty. And I like to show it off in the lunchroom when all the other people have their measly tray of this or that. When we are in the kitchen, we are a regular factory. It is just on Sundays we all get to cook supervise. The rest of the week we learn one at a time. JoJo gets time off of the kitchen to practice dancing to her records, not rock and roll, but slow and no singing music. Some of the records I cannot tell apart, but some of them I get in my head and use them for background music for my stories. I myself am dying to put on a frou-frou skirt and slick top JoJo dances around in, not for somebody to see me, but to stand in the hall mirror and observe myself private and practice my style. She has been taking lessons at the ladies' school all year, and does she evermore love it. You can see her dancing even when she is the only one in place or eating supper. I myself can dance, like I already said, but not like JoJo. I had rather shake a leg. My new mama says for me to wash and flour off my arms and do my homework. Wash and shower, excuse me. If you are like me, you will put it off until the last minute and the Wild Kingdom comes on, but it's just too bad. I have donated desk chair in my room. If the door is not shut, good, the baby Roger will crawl in there by mistake. Though it is hard to tell you where we are at. If I do not feel like company, I turn him back towards the door and motion him to leave. If he stays, he is always hot to find something to mind to break or gnaw on. I keep my old microscope and art supply out of his reach. I usually hand him my gloves because they will not fit down his throat. When it dawns on him to leave my room on his own, he will head off for another room. He has a mama here, but he didn't get a daddy.